So, thanks so much for joining our panel about inscription tools, right? And we have some of the best people to talk about this here. And so, guys, can you just take 30 seconds at the very beginning, just tell who you are, what you do, what your company does, just to kind of briefly introduce yourselves, and then we're going to get into it.
For sure. My name's Jack Napolitano. I've been a developer at Gamma for about a year. We're an NFT and ordinal marketplace, and obviously provide a suite of creator tools and inscription tools, and we can get into the details later, but that's my high level.
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm the co-founder of OrdinalsBot. We launched on February 7th, so we were one of the first inscription services to make it really easy for people to just drag and drop files, and then we inscribe it and send the inscription to the people. And yeah, it's been a crazy roller coaster since then, so looking forward to the panel today.
Yeah, my name is LightRider. I'm a Lightning developer, and I'm the CEO, CBO, CFO, and CTO of Ordinals. It's just me. And I discovered Ordinals, and in the beginning it felt exactly like the early days of Lightning. And I was like, hey, this is so cool, I have to build something for that. And so I was building an inscription tool where you can pay with Lightning, and it's also a wallet, and maybe soon also a PSPT marketplace.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot to cover, because I think, what's really important here about your tools, guys, is like you basically democratize the access. Right? I remember I was there looking at Ordinals, when people are inscribing around 1,000, sub 10K, and I was really trying to figure out how I can do it myself, but I couldn't. And I think, the first one that I used was OrdinalsBot, at the very beginning to inscribe, and obviously tried others as well. But, so guys, what kind of led you to this decision to build these tools? What was really kind of the motivation for you guys? I mean, obviously Gamma, you guys are all about artists, etc. I would love for you to kind of tell us, what is the major motivation to provide this service?
Yeah, I think for Gamma, and similarly with Bruff, we came from layers that wanted to build on Bitcoin and Lightning, of course. And so when Ordinals started going crazy, and we were reading Twitter, trying to learn, and reading the threads, and reading, ordinal theory, and trying to figure out what we were going to do. It was like a no-brainer. I remember one day we were just like, what is this Ordinals thing? It was like a Thursday, and we were like, maybe we should take a look at it. And then like a couple hours later, we were like, okay, wait, we actually have to like dive right into this. And I think I assume you probably had a similar mindset about it. And at Gamma, we are so focused on making the access to creators and empowering the artists to just have a smooth transition into getting their inscriptions on blockchain. And so we wanted to create an easy process that abstracted away all of the difficulties of running a Bitcoin node and your own Ord server, and just give them a way where they can upload their art, upload their text, and put an inscription on a blockchain.
Brian?
Yeah, very similar story. I wanted to do it myself, and I'm a front-end guy, so I don't understand how to do all the back-end Bitcoin stuff. I just make the buttons and stuff look nice. But I wanted to get involved with it, and I reached out to my team, as anyone doing something, and our co-founder was building something, and I said, right, cool, I'll put a front end on it and we'll put it online. And it was drag and drop. For me, that's really easy, and I think for a lot of other people who want to just get a really easy onboarding, just really try it out without having to spin up their own Bitcoin node. Yeah, it was perfect for us, and yeah, we launched it, and we were one of the first ones to do it, so we immediately got just melted, the server just died. We weren't set up for that amount of traffic, so it was during the Bitcoin punks mint. And then once that spread in their Discord that there's actually a service that does this, we just got bombarded, and we went down for about 6 hours, scaled up, and then it's been crazy since then. So yeah, I think that being a UX guy, it's this is just an amazing thing for Bitcoin. Previously, it was very kind of dev orientated, so you you have to download a GitHub binary and then follow a 25-step tutorial to do. Like, nobody's got to do that, right? They just want to drag and drop and click a button. And this is, I think, a brilliant thing that's coming to Bitcoin, a huge creative movement and a huge amount of like great UX that's coming as well. So yeah, it's only good things for Bitcoin, basically.
Please.
Yeah, I just love to build things, and when I discovered the ordinal theory, it immediately made click, you know. It was like discovering Bitcoin, and it was like discovering Lightning, and now it was like discovering something like this again, and it's also it's a very simple theory, and that's, I think, why it is so innovative, and that's also why it hit like nothing before, not like Counterparty, which is very complicated. And so I immediately set up a Ord wallet, you know, they have to sync the whole blockchain and stuff. And then I was like, okay, more people should use that. It should be way easier for people. So we have Lightning. That's another perfect use case for Lightning because you need Bitcoin to do this, to inscribe something. So just build a simple front end, let people drag and drop their stuff and let them use it. And I also saw on Twitter that a lot of people hated that, and that was also a little bit of motivation, because you know Bitcoin is free, open source, and many people don't like what we built. But that's the nice thing about Bitcoin. You don't have to agree with me, but I will build it anyway. Yeah, so that was a motivation.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so guys, how do you see the future of this space, right? Because you know how it's evolving today. Obviously, you know, inscriptions and I would say kind of back in the days, it was all about the 10K collections. Now it's becoming pretty expensive to do those things. And so now we kind of saw the hype around BRC20, which is also just all about inscriptions, right? It's so good for your businesses, you know, obviously. But kind of how do you see the future of this? Like, you know, what's going to be maybe the next thing? You know, like what do we need to do to improve this even further? Can we make it cheaper? You know, like what are you guys kind of like really focusing on right now, you know, specifically improving this space?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to say what's coming, right? The BRC20 thing just came out of left field and went crazy, and we didn't really see that coming. But I think that there's got to be a lot more smart developers coming into this space with their ideas of how to improve the protocol. You know, if anyone's into open source development, I would recommend that they get involved with the Ordinals protocol. And, you know, we need to grow that team as large as possible so we can just really move it forward. You know, I'm really speaking from a front end guy here, so bear with me. But I think there's like ways of doing like multiple inscriptions in one transaction. Shout out to Raf for telling me that. But apparently that's got to be a good one to kind of, you know, make it more efficient and things like that. And I don't think there's any reason why these things need to be human readable either. You know, like the JSON file is completely unformatted and human readable. That's not really needed. So like a lot more compression, a lot of things like that might improve things. But yeah, so I'm not for like expanding the block size or anything like that. So that's definitely not a topic we want to talk about. But because then it would be breaking the rules. That's the great thing about Ordinals is it's followed the rules, right? There's not broken any rules here. You know, so. But yeah,
this is cool, and maybe you guys can also expand on that. You know, you just mentioned a really interesting thing that like with one transaction you can do multiple inscriptions. Like is the limit 2 inscriptions, or is the limit that you can do like unlimited number potentially, or like what's really there? Man,
you're asking the wrong guy, but I think it's probably got to be based on the block limit, right? So the transaction size I think is a standard transaction's 400 kilobytes, so it's probably got to be limited to that. But right now it's 400 kilobytes, but you're doing one inscription per transaction. So I guess they could fill that up. That's my guess.
Yeah. And what's also getting really interesting is, I don't know if any one of you is familiar with, for example, Miniscript. It's a scripting language where you can make Bitcoin transactions way more programmable. And I think if we implement this into Ordinals, we can do a lot of very interesting things. For example, it would be possible to cancel, for example, inscription. So you are an artist and you want to inscribe something, so you have only the commitment transaction, and you let the buyer pay for the reveal transaction, and then you could implement some time locks, for example, and you as an artist can look, okay, after 1 week nobody has bought my inscription, so you can cancel it. So this would be very interesting, for example. And I'm also very pumped on PSBTs, what we can do with them. So yesterday I was talking to an Ethereum developer, and he was like, in Ethereum it's so complicated and you need a lot of code to do all this Uniswap, all these trustless swaps and so. But with PSBT, that's the most purest form of a smart contract. And even the Ethereum devs, they are really pumped about this because this is so natural, and it's way more secure, yeah, to write, to have just this PSPT instead of a lot of code, yeah. So you can also do trustless inscriptions, for example, with PSPT, so you don't need a service like us, yeah, so that's also not so good for us, but I mean, we can offer something like this. But we are only scratching at the surface at the moment what is possible in this space. I mean, we have seen, within the last 3 months, we have seen so many stuff going on, so I don't want to know what in 1 year we are talking about.
I think we've just scratched the surface with the PSBTs. One of the things we recently did was Dutch auctions, and so you can time lock listings, and you essentially create a bunch of listings, but each one only becomes valid at a certain time. And with our skilled front-end devs, we made this beautiful Dutch auction experience where you have what feels like an Ethereum Dutch auction that would be programmed into a smart contract, but it's just the power of the PSBTs working behind the scenes, enabling that. So I think there's a lot more to learn, and I don't know how much Bitcoin docs, it's pretty scarce at this point. Obviously there's a lot out there, but in terms of the PSBT world and what we can do in Ordinals, there's a lot to be written and a lot to be learned and discovered. So I think it's just really exciting to see what's gonna evolve and what PSBTs are gonna be able to do as we get more deep into it.
Yeah, and so you guys work with a lot of collections and artists because you're inscribing stuff for them. And so what is kind of, let's say, the thing that they're asking for the most? When, let's say they want to actually do a collection, maybe before it was 10K, maybe now it's going to be smaller, whatever, or maybe they're playing around with some pixel art, you name it. Like what is something that they would really like to have, when it comes to doing these inscriptions around collections, etc.?
More space. You've got photographers and fine artists that are coming with the 4K 10,000 pixel wide images and inscribe it. I'm it's 2 gigabyte file, so that's been a little bit of a not a stumbling point, but a little bit of a friction of you need to compress these things down, and some artists, they don't want to compromise the image quality, which is totally understandable. There's some amazing compression tools out there. If you get it down to 800 by 800 pixels, which is a huge reduction from these normal sizes, you can compress it down without losing too much quality. And then of course you can fill up the full block as well, right? So, but you're still only then limited to 4 megabytes, and it's really expensive to do that. But we did our Inscription collection for Coldy. He's a really great artist. He actually came from the Ethereum side. And he said something really cool which resonated with me, and he called it blockchain as a canvas. So he's using the limitation in his artwork. So if he has to optimize it, he's got to really optimize it to make it really grainy and textured and use it in his artwork. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting to see the amount of creativity that's coming over to Bitcoin. You've got amazing collections coming over that have really dominated in other chains, and they're bringing their whole community over as well, which I really like to see. And then you've just got artists who are maybe stepping into Web3 for the first time, and they maybe heard about doing something on other chains, but then when they hear Bitcoin, their eyes light up a little bit more. That's what I've been seeing. So I'm just really excited to see what other artists and what other collections are going to come and what they're going to build, so.
But do you guys think obviously there is a limitation of size, and so do you see people kind of embracing it and now trying to figure out? You just mentioned some examples, some artists are trying to figure out how to work around those limitations, maybe create a slightly different collection that is fit for Bitcoin. So do you guys see that quite a bit? That let's say they approach you first, they don't have the knowledge, you tell them, hey, you cannot inscribe this or it's going to cost this much money, and then they kind of go back to the drawing board and say okay, we're going to do something else. Do you see the dynamic quite a bit, guys?
Yeah, we definitely see challenges when it comes to up and coming artists, people who are new to the crypto space, are buying their first Bitcoin and are realizing, man, it's going to be expensive to inscribe my art. And one of the things we did is we have a completely cost-free way to launch a collection, and the inscriptions are done by the end user. And we're excited to iterate on that and add, Mint Pass and things like that now that we have message signing. And so I think there are ways for the platforms to reduce costs on creators, but I also think there's going to be some creativity to be seen by the actual artists themselves. And like we've seen some really cool stuff done with SVGs and done with HTML, which don't take necessarily as much space up as a JPEG does or whatever. So I just think it's going to be an evolution on both the platform side and the creator side. And I think like the creativity from the creators we're starting to see is really exciting. And just doing things with like code as art is going to be like really phenomenal to see develop over the next years.
Do you want to add something, LightRider?
Not specifically to that, but I think what artists also need a lot at the moment would be something that you can have some metadata also on chain. What belongs to a collection? Because at the moment it's not possible. You just upload 10 pictures, for example, and then the artist defines, okay, this is my collection, yeah. But there's nothing on-chain proof or so that this is really this one collection and this ordinal is belonging to this collection. But I think we are seeing already some development on the protocol side that you have this parent and child scheme to inscribe, and this is something I think which many artists are waiting at the moment.
Nice. Brian, I actually want to go to you. So I remember you mentioned, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something, you were talking about the 4 megabytes blocks, inscriptions, and you said you're going to offer that service on OrdinalsBot. So how far is that to actually like democratize that solution?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of mining partners now we've been reaching out to, and they've actually reached out to us as well because they've realized this is a huge wave of new business for them. And yeah, so we've got some mining partners and we wanted, like at OrdinalsBot, we just automate everything. So that's what we also want to automate. So yeah, coming soon, there'll be that available option that you can just essentially, upload your file and then we'll queue it up for you and automate the whole process in terms of like how long it's going to take, because you obviously don't just get it right away. They need to win the block and everything, so there's a little bit of a queue. But yeah, we're going to launch that soon. And then we just launched also the rare stats inscription as well, which is really, really interesting. Casey, when he designed the protocol, he kind of just made this thing where it's like the rare Satoshis, and I'm loving it. I think it's a really great concept. So forgetting about the artwork or anything, just the Satoshi itself is rare. And yeah, we've essentially just started like gold panning these, because we're getting like an inflow of Bitcoin. So we've put like a filter on it, and we're just like segregating all the 2009 sats and the rares and the uncommons. And we've not got any rares yet. We've only got uncommons. But yeah, we're basically gold panning these things, and then you can go to the website, you can click on, you upload your file, click on 2009, and we'll inscribe it on a 2009 stat for you all automatically.
That's cool.
It's not only about the rare sets, it's also about that, every Satoshi has his own name. And for example, yesterday I learned about, at the Aquarius meetup, I learned about the most sleepy sat, for example, is Z, it's 10 Zs, yeah? So, and it will be mined next year, or no, this year in November, yeah? And I think we will also see a lot of things. For example, my name, LightRider, is also a SAT with my name, yeah? And I think we will see a lot of people hunting, especially for their names, for their Twitter names, and so on. This is really cool.
I can just say, though, the names are shortening. So right now they're long. And as the blocks progress, that gets shorter and shorter. So if your name's Bob, you probably have to wait until like 2140 to get your SAT.
Or all the bands, yeah.
Yeah, so just curious, how much does it cost now? Let's say if you offer that 4 megabyte service, like what's the cost right now?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. When we spoke to the miners, they're also like, what should we charge? And we're not sure. So we're just trying to figure it out at the moment, actually. And basically, whatever they give us, we'll put a little bit of a markup on it for the automation part, and that's it. They'll get 99% of it probably, as they do with the inscription part as well. A lot of the fees we've paid so much money to miners over the last 3 months, but it's the price you pay for Bitcoin to be moving along, and the network's really healthy. People might not like the high fees, but that's part of the game, isn't it?
100%.
So.
Yeah. I mean, you can always play around with it, right? You can always figure out the timing, maybe when the fees are a little bit lower, et cetera, right? To kind of optimize for that. Also, what would be interesting is like you can fractionalize, right? Let's say like, your collection, you want to inscribe like on 4 megabytes, it's expensive, but you can have like potentially 1,000 holders of that one inscription, right? So those things could be actually interesting. But what is something that you saw? Like what is something, from the art perspective, from what people are actually pitching you as ideas, what they would like to do? Like can you share some alpha? Like obviously maybe not even naming the names, but like, kind of the direction where this is going, like what people are coming up with.
I think we're still like it's similar to what I was saying before with the SVGs and HTML. I think people are going to get creative with the code and the code side of things. I haven't I still feel like we're seeing a lot of like 10K collections. Obviously, that's dropping with the fees, and artists putting their art on Bitcoin as they were on Ethereum or previously. So it's something I'm really excited to see, and just doing what we can to enable it.
I can also say, for example, that some people are working on Nord, it's called, so negative inscription numbers. And this is because of, we have these lost inscriptions. And there must be some numbering system for them. And so some people came up with the idea that we gave all these lost inscriptions, we give them negative numbers. And so they have introduced a Nord wallet, which is the same like the Ord wallet, but it can also display in the Nord Explorer the negative inscription numbers. And I think it will not take too long, and we will implement that. And then you can also inscribe on negative inscription numbers.
I can now confirm also OrdinalsBot is coming soon as well.
Oh, really? Okay, good to know. No, that's cool, guys. I think we have a couple more minutes left. I would love to kind of get your perspective on, what else as a collective can we do to kind of improve this space, and get more artists into this. Obviously, you're doing your part with enabling inscriptions and democratizing this. But what would you like to say? What would you like to see? Everybody else doing? Let's say from a wallet perspective, what would you like to see? Some sort of improvements and stuff. Just kind of pick your brain on that.
I can say. I like to see more UX people coming into the space and making more really easy to use and easy onboarding for apps. And I think that Xverse and Hero and things have done a great job with that from the wallet perspective. So yeah, I'd like to see just more of that happening, and then also just more contributors to the Ord repo itself. The more people we've got working on that, the stronger the protocol will be. The safer our businesses will be, right? We don't want these bugs, but bugs happen and we'll fix them. It's like a couple of months old, like mainnet, whatever you want to call it. So these things will happen and we'll fix them and we'll move forward. And there'll be big breaking changes, there'll be big things going forward. And I think this time next year, it'll be a really strong, much stronger protocol, massive businesses built there, and then we'll be ready for the prime time, basically.
Nice.
I'm really curious when people start also implementing new standards, like also BRC20, but I think there are also already some standards, for example, for inscribing news. And with that, the people will also start to inscribe more and more other documents, not only picture, but I don't know, maybe some signed PDF documents. And then with PSBTs, we have a way to trade them. So we have a trustless marketplace for all kinds of documents you can imagine. I mean, there are not use cases for that maybe now, but I think we will see a lot in the future.
And actually, I have a follow-up question to you specifically, because I think you mentioned Lightning, and obviously you guys also support Lightning, but I see it quite a bit in the Twitter community when I see when you guys post something and there are people commenting when can we get more Lightning integration, for inscriptions and make it cheaper, etc. So what's the vision there? Can Lightning really help a lot with making inscription a lot cheaper? What are you guys working on there?
To be honest, I don't see a way how Lightning could help there, because Lightning, you have no way to store data on chain in Lightning. There's no way. I would say what will become interesting is when Taro, I think it's now called Taproot Assets, the protocol by Lightning Labs. I think this will be very interesting when it comes to non-fungible tokens, because Lightning would be very efficient for fungible tokens like BRC20, because BRC20 they don't need a lot of data. Yeah, so I think we can do something with Lightning there. But when it comes to NFTs, if you want to trade NFTs on Lightning, you still have to store them somewhere on chain. So I don't see a way at the moment how Lightning could help there.
But from a payment point of view, it's great. We had Lightning since day one, and you have when you use our service, you have to wait on that on-chain payment happening before we even start the inscription. So if you use Lightning, then the payment is instant, and then we can get inscribing straight away. So it speeds up the process if you use Lightning for payments. So.
The funny thing is, it's exactly the other way around. So inscriptions in Ordinal help Lightning a lot, because now we have on-chain fees, high on-chain fees, and to be honest, if the fees would stay like they have stayed over the last year or so, that you can send $100 with 1 Satoshi per rebyte, it was cheaper to do this on-chain than Lightning. And if we would have these kind of on-chain fees still for the next 2 years, I think many Lightning companies would get really into trouble. So it's exactly the other way around. So Ordinals help a lot Lightning. Yeah.
Nice. Jake, do you have any other comments on what you would like to see in the space? And even from others, not just obviously you guys are pushing in the direction, but like what else can we do to support this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think it's important for like us as people who have been in the crypto ecosystem for so long to remember that it's generally not all that easy and straightforward to onboard. We have like the amazing wallets that the UI is always improving and the experience there is good, but sometimes just getting into the wallet from a non-crypto owner and having their first piece of Bitcoin is quite challenging. So it'll be interesting to see how like the on-ramps evolve over time and if there's a smoother way to improve that. But overall, and maybe it's education resources, but getting users more comfortable with buying their first Bitcoin, understanding how to spend it, understanding how to inscribe, and just kind of learning that process, I think is something that probably is still needed, even though there's a lot of resources in that space. I talk to my friends and they are still like, I'm the weird crypto guy, So there's a lot to be done, I think. But I think over time, like we'll see the adoption creep up, and I think we will get, a more like abstracted experience. So.
Awesome. I think we're on time. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you joining me here. And if you guys are interested chatting with these gentlemen, please find them afterwards. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.